On a quiet morning, the old man pushed open his screen door and stepped onto the porch. His bones ached like always, but what froze him wasn't age. It was what he saw waiting for him. A massive German shepherd sat at the foot of his steps, not wandering, not sniffing around like a stray. It was still, deliberate, as if it had chosen this porch on purpose. His breath caught. His pulse jumped. Why here? Why now? Why him? After all these years? The dog didn't bark, didn't move, just stared up at him with eyes that seemed to cut through the years like they meant something. His hands started to tremble, and he gripped the railing to steady himself. Then the light shifted. Morning sun caught on something dangling from the animal's neck. A thin flash of metal. His chest tightened. He knew that shape, that sound, that shine. It can't be. It just can't. The shepherd lifted its head, ears twitching. The tag swung slightly, glinting again, like it was mocking him. "No," he whispered, voice cracking. "Not after all these years. Not Saigon, not 75. He stepped forward once, then stopped cold. If he spooked it, if it bolted, the truth would vanish with it. The porch felt like a battlefield. One wrong move, and everything was lost. The old soldier stood there, staring down at the dog, breath shallow, heart hammering. If it leaves now, the past leaves with it, and he couldn't let that happen. The shepherd shifted, one paw forward, then another. Its ears flicked, its body tense. It could bolt at any second. The veteran froze. His chest tightened like a vice. If the dog ran, so did the proof hanging from its neck. He forced himself to breathe slowly, carefully, and began to inch backward toward the open door. His eyes never left the animal. One wrong twitch, and it was gone. Inside, his hand shot to the counter where the phone lay. His fingers fumbled as he jabbed the buttons. The line clicked. 911. 911, what's your emergency? This might sound strange, he whispered, voice rough with panic. But this isn't just a stray. You need to send someone. You need to see what it's wearing. A pause, then the calm, trained voice of the dispatcher. Sir, remain calm. Officers are on their way. Keep your distance. Don't make sudden movements. Just keep it there until police arrive. His throat tightened. Keep it there? How? He risked a glance out the window. The shepherd was pacing now, circling once before sitting again, its eyes still locked on the porch. Every twitch of its body made his pulse stumble. He pressed the phone tighter to his ear, whispering under his breath like a confession. K-San, Tet 68, Ku-Chi Tunnels. The names slipped out before he could stop them, ghosts from the war colliding with the present. Sir? The dispatcher asked again. Are you still there? Yes, he said quickly, though his voice shook. His palms were slick with sweat. He looked back out through the glass. The shepherd was still there. But for how long? The veteran ended the call and dropped the phone onto the counter. His chest heaved. Keep it there until police arrive. The words rattled inside his skull. How? His eyes darted to the fridge. He yanked it open and stared at the shelves. Leftover steak from last night. It wasn't much, but it was something. He grabbed it with shaking hands and tore open the foil. Back at the doorway, he eased it open just enough to slip his arm through. The shepherd's head jerked up. Its ears twitched, its eyes locked on him. Easy, he whispered. Easy, boy. He tore a strip of meat and tossed it underhand, careful not to throw too close. The piece landed with a soft slap on the porch. The shepherd flinched, lips curling. A low growl rumbled from its chest. The veteran froze, heart hammering. Then, slowly, the dog sniffed the air, lowered its head, and ate. Relief shot through him so hard his knees nearly gave way. He ripped off another strip, smaller this time, tossed it. The shepherd ate again. Good boy. Just stay, he murmured, keeping his voice steady, though his hands trembled. Piece by piece he fed it, every toss a gamble. Each time, the shepherd's eyes snapped back to him, sharp and unblinking, as if weighing every movement. One wrong motion, and it would be gone. He tore another strip, tossed, waited. Somewhere in the distance, faint and rising, a siren wailed. The veteran's stomach dropped. Would that sound spook it? The faint siren faded into the distance, but something else was rising now. Voices. Across the street, a curtain shifted. Another window creaked open. Within minutes, faces appeared, curious eyes peering out. Phones lifted, screens glowed. Someone stepped onto their porch. Then another. Within moments, a small crowd was forming along the sidewalk, whispers darting through the air like sparks. What's going on? It's a shepherd. Not just any shepherd. Look at it. That's a war dog, isn't it? The veteran ignored them, his entire focus locked on the animal. The shepherd didn't care about the crowd. Its eyes never left him, sharp and unyielding. Every time it blinked, his heart skipped. Every time it shifted a paw, gasps rose from the street. "Stay back," he barked, his voice cracking. He didn't dare take his eyes off the dog, but he could feel the weight of the neighbors pressing in. Click. A camera shutter. The shepherd's ear twitched, its gaze flicking sideways for half a second before snapping back to him. The veteran's stomach dropped. "Don't do that!" he shouted. "No sudden moves." A hush fell over the crowd. The shepherd lowered its head again, the tension in its body coiled like a spring. The old soldier swallowed hard, whispered just loud enough for himself to hear. "You're still on duty, aren't you?" His chest heaved, sweat stinging his eyes. Every second stretched longer than the last. Then, from down the street, a dark shape slid into view. A patrol car, lights flashing but siren cut, rolling in, slow and silent. The patrol car rolled to a stop, lights flashing faintly, but siren silent. Two officers stepped out, hands resting on their belts, eyes fixed on the shepherd. "Sir," one called softly, "is this the animal you reported?" The veteran didn't look away from the dog. His throat worked, dry and tight. "This is what I told you on the phone." His voice shook, but the words carried weight. The shepherd's ears flicked as the officers edged closer, slow and measured. One knelt, keeping his movements deliberate. The crowd on the sidewalk hushed, every camera raised, every breath caught. That's when the sunlight hit it just right. The collar shifted, and the metal dangling from it swung into full view. Gasps rippled through the neighbors. It wasn't a normal ID tag. Rusted, battered, edges pitted with age. A military dog tag. The veteran's chest clenched. His knees nearly gave. "God help us," he whispered. The officer squinted, leaning closer. He turned his head slightly to the other officer. "A shepherd can't be 50 years old," he muttered. "This tag was recovered. It's not original to this dog." The veteran's eyes burned. His voice dropped to a rasp, barely more than breath. "We left them in 75. When the city fell, we left them all." Silence hung heavy, the only sound the faint jingle of the tag as the shepherd shifted its weight. The kneeling officer reached carefully, unclipped the rusted piece, and held it up with 2 fingers. For the crowd, it was just a relic. For the veteran, it was a wound ripped open. "Bag it," the officer ordered. A plastic evidence pouch crinkled as the tag dropped inside. The metallic clink echoed louder than it should have. The veteran's hands shook against his sides. His past wasn't just memory anymore. It was hanging around a stray dog's neck. The officer sealed the pouch and held it up. The plastic crinkled around the rusted tag, a piece of history suddenly treated like evidence in a crime. The veteran's lips trembled. He forced the words out, raw and uneven. Over 4,000 dogs went to Vietnam. Most never came back. Gasps swept through the small crowd. A woman near the front covered her mouth. Someone whispered, "I never knew." The kneeling officer straightened, nodding with quiet respect. "We'll run the number. We'll call the base." His partner was already scribbling notes, radio clipped in one hand, evidence pouch in the other. The veteran pressed a hand to the porch railing to steady himself. His mind raced. 4,000. The number echoed in his head like a drumbeat. He had served, he had seen the chaos, and he had watched those animals vanish from memory. And now, decades later, one of their names had surfaced again. The shepherd shifted. Its head rose sharply, ears pricking at the sound of the officer's radio squawk. The veteran's heart lurched. Would it stay? Or was this the moment it would break away, carrying everything with it? The shepherd lowered itself onto the porch, chest against the wood, eyes locked upward. Not relaxed. Ready. Every breath was measured, every muscle coiled. The veteran shifted slightly, raising one trembling hand, palm open. The dog's eyes followed the movement, head tilting just enough to track him. It was subtle, but clear. It understood. An officer stepped closer, a little too fast. The shepherd's lips curled. A low, rumbling growl vibrated from its chest, deep and sharp enough to freeze everyone in place. "Easy," the veteran whispered, his voice breaking. "It's all right. Nobody's going to hurt you." He lowered his hand slowly, easing the tension back down. The growl softened, but the dog's eyes never left him. The crowd murmured from the sidewalk. Phones caught every second, but the veteran didn't care. His entire world had shrunk to this silent standoff, this animal that shouldn't know him, but somehow did. "You waited," he breathed, eyes burning. "You waited all these years?" The shepherd blinked once, then settled its chin against the porch boards, still staring at him like it was holding guard. Then, sudden and sharp, his phone buzzed in his pocket. Everyone froze. Was this the call with answers? That night, the veteran spread his past across the table. Faded photos, bronze medals, yellowed letters that smelled of damp paper and old grief. He hadn't touched most of it in years. Now it was all he could think about. He opened his laptop with unsteady hands and typed the first words that came to him. K9S left behind Saigon, 1975. Dozens of results, old news clippings, forums, grainy photos of handlers beside their dogs. He scrolled, eyes burning. Some pages told of the chaos at Tan Son Nhut, helicopters lifting off while dogs were cut loose at the gates. He muttered names under his breath. Cu Chi Tunnels, Pleiku, Da Nang. Each one carried a weight he thought he had buried. He tried another search. Vietnam War Scout dogs, Cu Chi Tunnels. Reports of units ambushed, patrols wiped out, animals left unaccounted for. The screen blurred as the memories crowded in. A single thought pierced through, sharper than all the rest. Tet Offensive took men. Silence took the dogs. He sat back, rubbing his eyes, until the chime of an email pulled him forward. The subject line froze him. "Bring the photo." The message was short, official, a contact from the local base. "Come in tomorrow. Show us the tag." His chest tightened. After all these years, someone else wanted to look. The next morning, the veteran carried the evidence photo to the base. The guard checked his ID, made a call, and waved him through. In a quiet office, an officer in uniform studied the photo of the tag. He turned it slowly under the light, lips pressed thin. "The engravings are authentic," he said finally. "That's a real issue. Same style we stamped during the war." The veteran swallowed hard. "So it's not a fake?" The officer shook his head. "No, sir. This number traces to a scout dog, German Shepherd. Listed MIA in 1970. Unit was running patrols near the Cu Chi Tunnels." The veteran's eyes dropped to the photo, the numbers etched in metal. Cu Chi. He remembered the tunnels, the ambushes, the silence. The officer leaned back, his voice steady. "But the dog you found on your porch is modern." 6, maybe 8 years old. No animal lives 50 years. Someone recovered this tag. Somehow it ended up around that dog's neck. The veteran's throat tightened. He stared at the photo until his vision blurred. "He came home without them," he whispered, voice cracking. But he brought their name back. The officer nodded, then lowered his voice. "There's something else. We still have records of a stateside training site. It was decommissioned decades ago, left to rot in the woods. If tags were recovered, they might have come from there." The veteran straightened, heart pounding. One more lead. The path into the woods was rough, branches clawing at his sleeves, mud sucking at his boots. The officer led the way, but the shepherd tugged on the leash as if it knew exactly where to go. They broke into a clearing, and the veteran stopped cold. Rusting wire kennels sagged under vines. Wooden crates stamped USARMY lay split open, their stencils faded but still visible. A half-collapsed shed leaned into the dirt, its roof caved in, dust and moss smothering what had once been a training yard. The shepherd pulled again, straight to the heap of debris by the shed. Its paws scratched at the ground, nose buried in the rubble. The officer bent down, shifting planks aside. Metal clinked. More tags, rusted and worn, lay scattered under the wood. Beside them, a leash ring, eaten away by time. The veteran knelt, his breath shaking, his hands trembling as he reached for one tag. His reflection warped in the rusted surface. He pressed his palm against the shepherd's neck, tears clouding his vision. "You carried their story back," he whispered. Weeks later, the town gathered. A small ceremony in the park. The mayor spoke of honor. A bugle played softly. Veterans stood shoulder to shoulder, some wiping their eyes. Brief, iconic anchors passed in murmurs. Huey's. 75 evacuation. Names read aloud. The shepherd sat beside the veteran through it all, quiet and steady, eyes fixed forward like a soldier at attention. When the speeches ended, the veteran whispered the only words that mattered. The war was long over, but one soldier finally came home. The crowd rose in applause, the veteran bowed his head, and the shepherd stayed.
If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it with someone who may find it interesting. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.